introduction. And I must tell you, I am so thankful that you took me away from the misery of Pennsylvania in January. And to be out here has just been delightful and wonderful. I also want to tell you, too, that I do an awful lot of speaking and invited to give a lot of talks and work with lots of different conference sponsors. And it's rare that I find conference organizers as involved and concerned as Brian and his team has been to make sure that I've got this fine-tuned and honed in on your particular niche and your particular questions. Then hopefully I can answer them. Now, in my pre-conference briefing, and we always do this before conferences, and as I say, Brian was really very, very concerned, or very interested in this and very involved in the planning. The question was, my basic marching orders were come in and tell us how we can sell more $25 and above bottles of wine and to our customers. So how can we do that? And that was my #1 marching order. Second thing that I was asked to do was talk about discounting and how can we address this bane of our existence, which is called discounting. And I got a quote from Rob McMillan, who is with the Silicon Valley Bank, and he says, "We expect continued downward price pressure in all but those wineries selling on allocation, large-scale producers, or established brands in wide distribution." So, the fact is that your industry is facing discounting, but it's happening in all other kinds of industries as well. So you are not alone in being challenged by this question of what do we do about prices? Do we have to lower our prices? And in some cases, lowering and adjusting the prices is called for. Coach Handbags is a very good example of a company that in the growth years, in the boom times, when luxury, when we could keep raising our prices and people were paying whatever we asked, prices started to inflate. And Coach Bags found that across their product line, their handbags were averaging about $335 in 2009, and sales were down. They did an analytic analysis, just like Mark did. Mark talked about on their file. What they found was in 2007, when handbags were about the average price is about $295, was the year that they maximized both sales of handbags and profits on handbags. So in 2009, they decided to adjust their prices down, take them down from $335 to about $295. And we're talking about $40, which their customers could certainly afford to pay. But it was an adjustment that really required them to make an adjustment of a psychological price point. And you may find that that's something that you need to do. But again, believe me, it's not like taking it all the way down to pushing liquid out the door for next to nothing. But when I look at problems with the luxury industry and I look at problems that you're facing as an industry as well, the wine industry, really discounting is not really your problem. It's a symptom of the real problem, and that is a value shift that has happened in terms of the minds of luxury consumers. What they are willing to pay today for luxury, what they value in luxury, has fundamentally changed. And the news is it's not going back to the way it was. These changes are profound and they're significant. And those are the changes that I'm going to be talking about. But it represents a value shift. And in my parlance, in the title of my book, I'm assuming, and I know everyone feels this way, there's something that's gone out of the luxury market. I call it the lux. And what our challenge is, as marketers to affluent consumers in the luxury space, is to put that lux back. And that's the title of my book, and I'll be sharing a lot of information that's in that book. But this slide answers Brian's question. How do you sell more $25 bottles of wine and fight discounting? Well, is it lower prices or increasing the value? And I say, let's turn this value equation upside down. It's not about reducing our prices. It's really about raising the perceived value of the wines that we sell. So the challenge is to convince our customers that they are getting a $30 bottle of wine but they're only having to pay $25. So in a nutshell, that answers the question, and now we can get on with the agenda and the rest of the speakers. But Brian did want me to talk for about 50 minutes, so I figure, well, I will satisfy him, and I will talk a little bit more and get a little bit deeper into this whole question of the value equation. And that's the title, Creating Loyalty for the Luxury Liquid. Now, in my speech, I have a lot of data. I'm a researcher. I love data and I love information. If you would like copies of my slide, I invite you to give me your card and we'll send that back out to you as soon as I get back to Pennsylvania next week. Because we're going to have another snowstorm, so I'll be in the house. But we'll get it out to you. And I'll be here through lunchtime, so we can count on that. And I'm not standing here as an expert in the wine industry. So please forgive me. I am a wine industry consumer. I buy premium wine products, so I'm a premium consumer of wine. I also visit wineries, and we would do a lot of winery visits on the East Coast. This is like the second time to the Mountain Valley, Sonoma area. So I'm not that familiar with your area, but yesterday I did go to a winery, and I'll be sharing some of my observations from that experience with you a little bit later on in the talk. But I am claiming expertise in understanding these consumers that you are trying to sell to. So that's what I'm coming to you with, is my expertise, and it's achieved through consistent and heavy emphasis on consumer research and consumer insights. And what I want today, my personal goal for you today in my talk is that you get one key idea, one takeaway idea that you can take back to your winery tomorrow and put into practice to help start changing your business. So that's my goal, and I certainly hope that I do that with one idea. Now, Bernard Arnault, the chairman of Louis Vuitton or Moet Hennessy, said, nothing will be the same. It would be illusory to think it will be the same again. And I really want to warn you about taking articles like we saw in the San Francisco Chronicle yesterday, the return of the premium wine business and the return of luxury, because there's a lot of noise out there in the media about this. I want to warn you, don't buy it. There are changes, the consumer has changed. We are in a different place, and we are not going to go back to that boom boom time, which we all enjoyed, until it's going to be much later, about 2020, and we'll be talking about that. So we're seeing a sustained value shift in the marketplace, and just don't buy the information. Don't let up in terms of your marketing. Every 3 months, at the end of every quarter, we survey 1,200 luxury consumers and ask them about their purchases of 22 different luxury products and services. So we are doing self-reported information. We ask the same types of people the same questions in the same way every 3 months, and that's what we do. That's what we measure to do our tracking study. And again, we're the only company that does as extensive a surveying. We survey the top 20% of U.S. households based on income, and a third of our sample are people who are at the ultra-affluent level, the $250,000 and above. Now, today, the word luxury really has taken on a very negative meaning. In fact, I am using affluent far more than I use luxury today. So, the question always comes in, why does luxury matter anymore? What is it about these people and luxury consumers that's important? And the fact is, these are the heavy lifters in the consumer economy. They are the top 20% of U.S. households, yet they make up they account for more than 40% of all consumer spending, and they account for more than 50% of all of the nation's income and earnings. So they really are the most important consumers for all marketers because they are the heavy lifters. And I think in the premium wine space, they easily account for more than 80% of sales, probably a lot more than 80% of sales. So we really are looking at your core customers.